Hey everybody, this is Greg Gossett from Gossett Trading and Mentoring Live, and today is Monday, September 14th, 2020, and we again find ourselves in the final hour of the trading day. The final hour of the trading day, and in particular the last few minutes of the day, are my favorite time to make the majority of my buying and selling decisions for my swing trades. During the day, you have the algorithms, you have the day traders. They are the ones that are in control of the price. At the end of the day, the large financial institutions come in. They're dealing with the most money, very smart people, best technology, best information, and they start to wake up at the end of the day and make their buying and selling decisions, the majority of their buying and selling decisions at the end of the day. I consider them smart money, and I like to follow what they're doing. So that's why I make my buying and selling decisions based upon what they're doing in the last few minutes of the day. So thank you all for coming. I hope everyone had a nice weekend, had a good time, we're safe, maybe studied up a little bit on trading. But let's see. Currently, the Dow Jones is up 319 points, up 1.16. The NASDAQ is up 187 points, up 1.73, 74, 75. And the S&P is up 43 points, up 1.31%. So had a bit of a rally after last week's down move, and it'll be really interesting for me to see how we close this out today, whether or not we'll get sold into the close or bought into the close. We've had a lot of selling into the close last week, which is not a good sign based upon, what I was talking about with the large financial institutions. I'd rather see the indexes or a stock start going up and closing up at the high of the days and going up in the last hour than selling off, which in my opinion is a bad sign. So let's take a look, see who's here. We have Kamal. Hey Kamal, good to see you, my friend. Kamal and I chat during the day, so it's always nice to be able to chat with him, trade some ideas, and get the results of his scanner. So thank you, Kamal. Quad Racer is here. Hey buddy, good to see you. Good afternoon, Greg. Group, happy Monday. Good afternoon to you, Quad. Hope you're doing well. Bob is here. Hey Bob, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Evan, hi. Good afternoon to you, Evan. William Green, hello, Mr. Green. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Hi, David. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well there in Colorado. And Dan, hi, Greg and Gossett Group. Hello, Dan. Frank is here. Hi, Frank. Good to see you, my friend. Always nice to have Frank here. Miko25 is here. Hey, Miko. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Miko says, good afternoon, Greg and all. Dan says, maybe if there's time, I can get an opinion about future of home sales. Ooh. Well, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask about that, Dan. Maybe somebody in the group would have some ideas. Home sale values. Yeah, I don't really know if I'd have any good input on that. Well, listen, here's the plan for today. First of all, we're going to run the U.S. legal disclaimer. Secondly, we're going to come back. We're going to take a look at my current positions, talk about when I bought them, why I bought them, how I'm going to manage them going forward. After that, I've had some day trades that I'm going to share with you as well. After that, we're going to go through, take a look at everybody's positions that are up on the board. I see some really good ones today, so that'll be kind of exciting to go through those and take a look. After that, we'll switch gears, talk about trader psychology. Most important part of trading. Longer you trade, the more you'll realize this is true. Entries and exits, those are all fine, and indicator, support, resistance, you do have to use those, no doubt about it, but you really use those so that you can put together a plan, and then following the plan, that's where the real skill comes in. So I like to touch on that. After that, I've gone down through my watch list. I've also got the results from Kamal's scanner. I have 3 requirements whenever I look to enter a trade. First is a combination or confluence of indicators lining up. Extremely important. In my opinion, you'll have the best chance of having a profitable trade if you're in the company with as many other buyers as possible. And the way that I try to achieve that is by looking for a confluence or combination of indicators, ideally on multiple time frames lining up, indicating that there's many different groups of buyers coming in at the same time. Secondly, even if you have a good confluence of indicators lining up, you have to make sure that you have a good risk to reward ratio. It's very important. You can't have one without the other. You can't have great confluence of indicators lining up if you have a bad risk to reward. So, it's a fine line. It's a fine line, and you have to kind of take a look at your RSI levels and your ATR channels and resistance above, and as far as making a decision whether or not it's a good risk to reward ratio. And then number 3, always important, please keep in mind how many correlated positions you have. Ideally, it's best to have uncorrelated positions, so that you can diversify your holdings over different types of stocks, and even get outside of stocks and equities, and maybe into bonds, gold, oil, dollar, something like that. So we'll go through the results of Kamal's scanner, and keeping those 3 things in mind, we'll go through each one by one. Ideally, at the end of the day, if I find the very, very best one that makes sense on multiple time frames, indicators lining up, risk to reward ratios, I'll go ahead and place the trade at the end of the day. Then after the market closes, if anybody has any questions for me, please just put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer, happy to clarify anything I discussed today. If you have any stock symbols that you'd like me to look at before the close, put them in the chat, put an asterisk or emoji by it so that I know it's time sensitive. And then lastly, after the market closes, if you have any new positions, any new additions or subtractions to the board, if you could please wait till the end of the day, just so I'm done trading, done teaching, then the pressure's off, and then we'll get those all straightened out and taken care of and updated, okay? So that's the plan. Please hold tight for about 40 seconds, and I'll be right back. This video or live broadcast, like all instructional materials produced by Gossett Trading and Mentoring LLC, is created and published for informational and educational purposes only. Please carefully read and/or listen to the U.S. government required disclaimer before watching this video or live stream broadcast. The video link and disclaimer text are located in the description section of this video or live broadcast, here and here. Thank you so much. All right. Steve Burns, hey buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Always nice to have Steve here. Always an honor and a privilege. If you have not been to Steve's website, newtraderu.com, do yourself a favor, go ahead and take a look at it. Steve has written many wonderful trading books. I've learned so much from his books. I'm sure they're available there. You can also get them on Amazon, and he has some really great e-courses, trading e-courses, and a huge portion of how I trade is based upon what I've learned from studying with Steve one-on-one. So do yourself a favor. Go by, take a look, newtraderu.com. And Steve says, very nice overnight SPY trade, Greg. Yeah, that was a good one. That was definitely a good one. Tracy Peterson is here. Hello, all. Can you tell me where Kamal gets his things to look at? Well, good to see you, Tracy. If Paxton's there, please tell him hi. So as far as where he gets his things to look at, I mean, he has a watch list, I think, of a couple hundred stocks, and then he created and coded up his scanner that he then scans those particular stocks, that group of stocks every day. So I don't know if you're asking about where he gets what his watch list is or how he uses the scanner, but the scanner is something that he created himself, coded it up. So I don't know if that's helpful, but it's one of those, I think it's one of those 2 things that you're asking about. Frank has a poem. Find purpose in your trading. A skill combined with will can truly fulfill, even thrill. So have a plan, develop a strategy, change your battery, and make it part of your mentality. Oh, wow, that's good. Let me copy that, and let's give it one more shot. Find purpose in your trading. A skill combined with will can truly fulfill, even thrill. So have a plan, develop a strategy, change your battery, and make it part of your mentality. Golly, that's good stuff. That is 5-star poems right there. Wow. What stuck out to me is a skill combined with will can truly fulfill, even thrill. What I take from that is a skill. Yes, it's a skill to learn how to trade. but combined with will. And what that says to me is a skill combined with will. The will is trading correctly, following your plan. So thank you so much, Frank. That's fantastic. Kamal says, Tracy, I have a watch list of 450 stocks that get scanned. Let me know if there are stocks that you would like, and I can add it to the scanner. Oh, well, there you go. That's very nice of you, Kamal. Oh, it's 456 stocks. I didn't know it was that many. All right. Well, heck, let's get to it. Speaking of the SPY trade, real quick, as you know, I do buy the SPY every day at the close. I hold it overnight. I take the overnight risk. That's where I feel like the edge is in this approach. And I do this based upon a long-term back-tested study from Liz Ann Saunders. She's at Bespoke Invest on Twitter. Since 1993, they back-tested 2 different approaches, pretty simple approaches. Approach number 1, buy the SPY at the open, hold it through the day, sell it at the close. If you use this approach every day since 1993, you'd have returned a negative 13.9% return for all your troubles over the years. However, the opposite approach, this is the one that I use, buy the SPY at the close every day, hold it overnight, take that overnight risk, sell first thing in the morning at the open, this 634.2% return. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. That's true for any trading approach. But if I'm going to allocate money towards a trade, I would much rather allocate it towards something that has a backtest, that has a profitable backtest. The blue lines, the buy in the buy the close, sell the next morning. Orange lines, buy the morning, sell the close of the same day. You can see it's not even close. Over time, the blue line, all it's done. However, there are significant drawdowns with this approach. It's not all rainbows, butterflies, popsicles, and Skittles. Trust me on this one. And when you look at this chart, you're like, oh yeah, I could hang in through there. But in real time, when you're going through this, it's a whole different thing. So, you know, if you decide that you're going to use this approach, use a very small position size, like a 5% of your capital, maximum 10% of your capital, or even better, use the value of the 2 ATR divided into your maximum risk to show you how many shares that you are allowed to buy each day. So, as Steve said, yes, we did have a really nice overnight SPY trade. I did buy this Friday at the close at 334.06, and oh yeah, that kind of messed me up there. And I got out at the open. The open was right here. It looks like it's here, but that's the 20-day moving average. So I got in at 334.06, and I got out at 337.52. So like almost $3 overnight. So fantastic, and I'll be buying this again at the close. All right, that's my only directional trade at the moment. I do have some options when the market starts getting into certain types of territories and so forth. Sometimes I like to get away from directional trades and sell premium. So I did sell premium expiring November 20th on Intel at $45. If Intel stays above $45 by September 20th, I will keep all the premium that I sold. And why did I pick $45? I picked $45 on the, on the monthly, because it's in the value zone. I have the this is the quarterly. It's in the value zone on the quarterly. The $45 has support of the 20 quarter. Not used to saying that on the quarterly. On the monthly, I have support of the 50-month moving average at the $45 level, and on the weekly, I have the support of the 200-week moving average. So I have about 10% protection roughly, and so we'll see. If it doesn't hold above there, I'll probably have to be assigned and be required to buy that there, but I don't have to. I can just sell it and take the loss. So this is slightly underwater at the moment. It is up today, so any day it's up or even, fantastic, because that burns time. That burns time decay, which is good for me. All right. Apple, same with Apple. I did sell I did sell puts on Apple down to 77.50, meaning, and right now it's 114.46. If Apple can stay above 77.50 by November 20th, I'll be able to keep all the premium. I picked the $77.50 mark strike price on Apple on the monthly because it has support of the 1 ATR channel and the 20-month moving average. Also, there should be support over here at this previous high. On the weekly, I have the 50-week moving average above me as support. On the daily, if we go all the way down here, I have the 250-day moving average as support above me. So, when you sell options, of course, if you're selling puts, you want the price to go up, but I don't really care too much. I just want to run out the clock. Whether it goes up, that's fantastic. Goes sideways, that's fantastic. Even down slightly, just as long as it doesn't close below 77.50. And I have quite a bit of protection there. All right. Now, day trades. This was not my most stellar day of day trading. The best result I had today on day trading was 2 break evens. So that might put it into perspective, but the losses weren't bad. I did buy here on the 5-minute. I bought Apple at 114.41 when it triggered the V2 over the 200-day moving average. Initially went my way just perfectly, and then just because the last few days have been like this, it just boom, closed under the 200. So I bought it at 114.41. And I got out at 114.24. So not bad, not at all. Just frustrating when you have a trade and it immediately takes off your way and then just immediately dumps on you. But that's how it goes. Key to profitable trading is to have small losses, and I had a small loss, so that's all good. VIX. I bought VIX here. I like the sideways motion. I like the fractal that we took out. I bought it here at 24.98. It immediately went racing up for me. As you can see, it got right up to my 1.5 ATR level, which means if it goes back to my entry, I get out with break even. It's exactly what it did, but on the good side, I'm glad I got out because look at this. So anyway, that was a break even trade. And then where was my other trade? Oh yeah, then the Qs. And here we go. I did buy the Qs here. We went under 30, over 30 with the V1. Bought it at 273.92. Immediately went my way and then came down immediately, closed at 273.55. So I had to get out. I got in at 273.92. I got out at 273.55 for a loss. And then I decided to take one more entry here. Higher low V2. I bought it intrabar at 274.64. It again moved right up my way, got right up to my 1.5 ATR mark, and then it came crashing back down and I got out at break even. So like I said, I had 2 break evens and 2 losses, but very small. So I'm happy with that. And so that's that. So not a lot of action on my end, really. Now, I always forget this. So let's start over here with Frank on Apple. Frank did buy Apple at 113. It's at 114.79. So he's up nicely on the day, up 2.48%. Congratulations, Frank. Silver, Kamal, Dan, Yas, Quad did buy silver back here with this return to value V2 at 25.19. Initially went up, then reversed. Next Friday went up, got back down. I got out here for a small loss. I didn't like the 2 negative signs here, but I'm really glad this is up today for Kamal, Dan, Yas, and Quad, up 1.73%. Above all the moving averages now, above the 50 RSI, so that's really good. Gold. Gary and Dan bought gold at 184.40. Initially went up with the 520 crossover, came back down, Then we crossed under, but I believe Gary and Dan are still in it, and it looks like they're getting right back, just a little under even, but I'm glad it's up for you today. DGX, yes, look at this. Yas bought this 109.04 on DGX, rejection of the 30 RSI, rejection of the negative 30 TR channel, rejection of the 200-day, plus a V1. Sideways here for a couple days, up 2.8%. So congratulations, Yas. Johnson & Johnson, Bob bought Johnson & Johnson here, right? Yeah, 147.39 when it looks like it bounced off the negative 1 ATR channel, or maybe it was the next day, but I have 147.39 here. It's at 148.55, so up on the day for Bob and up on the trade, so that's good. JDX, yes, with the junior gold miners, bought at 58.35, rejection of the 50-day moving average, and this is up 5.31% today, so very nice, yes. EVRG, quad bought EVRG at 52.90. It's been kind of up and down and up and down. It is up today, but slightly down on the trade for quad. Sprouts Market, who bought this? I don't have who bought this up here. We had I think we had an under 30, over 30, plus a V1, plus a rejection of the negative third ATR channel. I was considering buying this Friday, but the last minute I didn't. It's hanging right there at the negative third ATR channel and the 200-day moving average and holding the 30. But I know somebody's in this. I just, for some reason, don't have the name on here. Snap, this is Karen. Karen bought Snap at 22.90. It is now 24.06, down a little bit on the day, but nicely up on the trade. Alibaba, Gary's been in the puts that he sold. He sold bullish credit spreads on Alibaba. He sold the 918, 240, 235s. Basically, this means that as long as Alibaba stays above 240 by September 18th, Gary will keep all of the premium that he made between the spreads that he sold. So he's looking pretty good there. He only has 3 days left and it's at 273. If it stays above 240, he is golden. Intel, Bob bought Intel, looks like on Friday at 49.22. It is currently 49.28, so up a little bit on the trade. Oh no, this wasn't Friday. He bought this back here, 49.22, back on the 10th. Excuse me. That makes a lot more sense. We had a V2, under 30, over 30. Good entry here, and it moved sideways, and it did have a nice move up, but it sold off with the rest of everything last week. But we are back in the value zone, and we are moving nicely sideways. So I'm looking to re-enter here Intel if I can get a V1 and V2. And of course, I've already sold puts on Intel as well. IAU, Frank bought IAU gold ETF at 1865. It's been up, been down, been up today, and he's up on the trade. So congratulations there, Frank. FCFS, Bob bought FCFS at 58.10. Had a huge move up. It's been more of a position trade, kind of some ups and downs. Last couple days down pretty hard, but today up 3.5%. So up on the day, up on the trade. Very nice. WDC Quad. Look at this. Quad Racer bought WDC at 35.22. Had a beautiful move up. Had a reaction to the downside, but the last couple days have gone up. This is up 3.88% today. So really nicely up on the trade and really nicely up on the day. Oil, dang oil. Kamal and I were chatting earlier, and I thought oil might be going green today. Kamal bought this with the under 30, over 30, and a V1 on Friday at 27.06. Right now it's 26.87, so down 0.59% today. Is holding the 30 RSI. SSO, speaking of Kamal had a beautiful trade here on SSO, which is the double leverage S&P, rejection of the 50-day moving average plus a V1, bought it at 72.70. This is up currently 2.35% today, so very, very nice, Kamal. NOC, Evan bought, shoot, I looked at this earlier, it was up. Evan bought NOC, which is Northrop Grumman, at 340.03. When I looked at it, it was up, but now it looks like it's down about 0.25%. And last but not least is Carol with Southern Company. I almost took this on Friday at the last minute. I decided not to. Obviously, I wish I would have, but that's how it goes. But Carol, if you're listening, Carol and I just had our last lesson on Saturday night, but this is a good example of taking your trade. See how we've rejected the 50-day moving average above us. To me, not telling Carol what to do, but for me, if I was in this trade, that would be a little bit of a red flag, and I would definitely take a portion of the trade off because it rejected the 50. The way I do it is I would take 50% of my trade off here because it rejected the 50-day moving average. If it rejects the 50-day move, the 50 RSI, I take half off. If then it rejects the 50 if it rejects the 50 RSI, I would take half off. If it rejects the 50-day moving average above me, I take another half of the half, right? So that's how I do it. Okay, I think we've got everything. Steve says, you are a trading poet, Frank. Every day you have an epic one. I agree. They're epic every day. I mean, your poems would be great to quote at the beginning of my next trading book chapters. I'm glad Greg tweeted them to save them all. Yes, we've got them all saved. Absolutely we do, because I post them every day on Twitter. That would be great, Frank. That would be great, Steve, wouldn't it? I'm telling you. I mean, those poems, they're fun to read as poems, and they just have so much great wisdom in them. Steve says, most individual stock charts today are not as impressive as the index move higher. Yeah, it's a weird market. Things have changed. Obviously, things have changed. A couple weeks ago, things were just, rainbows and butterflies. Everything was going up like crazy. It was a rabid situation. People were very euphoric. Now, with this move that we've had down last week, it's changed the psychology of the market. It's damaged the psychology of the market. People are a lot quicker to take profits because the sentiment's changed. So it's a different market. That's why I've been kind of concentrating on doing some options because of that very reason. Tracy says, thanks so much, Kamal. Mount Doji, what's happening? Sorry about your Rockets. I was rooting for you. I was rooting for the Rockets, but anyway, maybe next year. But good to see you, my friend. Always great to have Mount Doji here. Mount Doji was one of my first listeners way back, and I always appreciate that. All right, let's see what's happening. So the Dow is it's up about 300, Nasdaq's up 192, and the S&P's up 41. All right. So listen, before we start going down through the watch list, before I look for my end of day trades, keeping in mind three things, right? Three requirements. Requirement number one, confluence combination of indicators, ideally on multiple time frames. Number two, even if requirement number one is filled, you still have to have a good risk to reward ratio, and you have to kind of size that up, right? That's kind of the artistic side of the trading is if you have a great setup, making sure you also have a good risk to reward setup. And if you don't, in my opinion, the way that I do it, I pass on the trade. And then number three, if you're going to take a new trade, just, take a few minutes and go, wait a minute, do I already have a bunch of tech? Do I already have a bunch of healthcare? Do I already have a bunch of, autos, whatever? Is this the best trade for me considering the positions that I have already? But before we do that, I like to talk about trader psychology. Most important part of trading, your patience, developing your patience, following your plan, that's your greatest skill. And there's some really good Facebook and Twitter channels out there. And there's a new one today that I'd like to tell everybody about because it's near and dear to me and the channel. And this is Ranger Trader. And I'm sure a lot of you remember Jesse. He's a former student of mine. He's the one that developed the templates for Thinkorswim, which I've sent out to many people. He's a fantastic guy. He was an Army Ranger, Special Forces. I mean, just quality guy. Just unbelievable. you know, his discipline and his focus is just amazing. And he sent me a message and said, Greg, I started a YouTube or a Twitter channel called Ranger_Trader. So Ranger Trader. And whatever Jesse does is fantastic. I know it. So, you know, if you could give him a hand, maybe reach out to Ranger Trader, subscribe to his channel, help build that channel a little bit. And I'm sure whatever he posts is going to be good stuff and helpful. But let's see what his very first post was. Number 1, be mentally tough. Yes, this is a game where we need to be mentally tough. We cannot be laissez-faire, just kind of kicking around, trading when we want to, trading when we don't, following our rules when we want to, not when we don't. You have to be mentally tough. Number 2, master emotions. I mean, this goes without saying. I talk about it every single day. You have to master your emotions. When things are going your way, you have to master them then too. You know, some of the worst trades you make is when you've made the most amount of money because you feel bulletproof. And it goes to the other side as well. You know, if you've been losing, you're on a losing streak, things are going against you, you have to master your emotions too. And some of those emotions might be, oh, I'm done with it, I'm sick of it, and quitting, or worse, screw it, it's too low, I'm doubling up, I'm tripling up, right? We've probably all been there. So master your emotions, whether you're euphoric or depressive, right? Whether things are going for you or not. It's the only way you're going to stay in this game. Have a plan. Of course, you have to have a trading plan. When people just get into something, I'm like, well, you know, what are you doing to the upside or downside? Well, I don't know. It's like, what? Look, you need a plan. You need to know exactly what you're doing at all times, whether it's to the upside or to the downside, where you're taking profits to the upside, where you're getting out to the downside, you know, where your trailing stops are kicking in, if you're phasing out, how that's happening. But you have to have a plan. Position size properly. I talk about this all the time. It's probably my number one suggestion for all traders. Make sure you're position size properly. It's super important. You have to take into consideration volatility. Sometimes you might buy Apple and buy 100 shares, and another time you might buy Apple and buy 25 shares. And guess what? Based upon volatility, it's the same thing, but you have to take into account volatility. I do have a free video lesson on my YouTube channel in the lessons playlist where I talk specifically about how to position size based upon volatility. Manage risk. Well, position size is part of that, but yes, of course, manage risk. If our number one responsibility as a trader is to manage risk and then think about profits later. Whenever I'm with my students, I'm like, what's the number one thing? Where we put our profit target? No. Number one most important thing when we first enter any trade is, what's our maximum loss? You know, how far below our entry is our maximum loss? And if we get down there, how much are we going to lose? And that's back to position size. Look inward. Yeah, you better look inward and take a hard look at yourself. Are you fooling yourself? Are you lying to yourself? Are you being intellectually honest with yourself? Study mistakes, of course. You paid for those mistakes. Why not study them and see what happens? Sometimes you make a perfect trade and it's a loss. It doesn't mean it's a mistake. Sometimes you make money on a trade, but it wasn't a good trade. That's technically a mistake, right? So study your mistakes. See if you can find, by looking at your mistakes, if you can find a common denominator that will lead to less mistakes. Grow from failure. I'll tell you what, the times in my trading career where I've really buckled down, really did some hard thinking on how to improve my trading, never happened when I was making a lot of money. Never, never, never. Always happened when I went through a bad spell of trading. I'm like, all right, I need to tighten this up. Never stop learning. It's true. You know, never stop learning. Watch videos, watch other people's channels, read books, right? That you can always improve. And number 10, repeat. And so I don't know if this is what they teach Rangers, but I have a feeling it is. And whether it's in Ranger trading school or it's in trading, it's all the same. It helps whether you're trading, Ranger, becoming a doctor, anything. these 10, these 10, this list of 10 will help you in anything and help you in life. So again, Ranger Trader, Jesse, fantastic guy. Go and support him. And because he's been nice enough to create that template for us. And if anybody would like that template, just email me and it's fine with Jesse if I send it. All right, that was a good post. Thanks, Jesse. All right, what's going on over here in the neighborhood? Boy, just really choppy. Look at these cues. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. Quad says, I'm actually at a WDC. Ah, really? Okay. Bummer. Did make a profit on it. Okay, good. Steve says, I followed Ranger Trader. Love the concept and first post. It's good, isn't it, Steve? Steve says, looks like I will be taking a 520 crossover buy signal on both silver and gold today. AGQ chart signal surprising. Oh, I didn't look at AGQ. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm very glad you mentioned that, Steve. Thank you. Because silver already had the crossover. So, boy, I'll tell you what, that might be the one that I'm taking today. GLD crossover also? Oh, yes, it did. All right. So, you know, this is always a personal preference, right? But I'm big into correlation, so I'm going to have to pick between gold or AGQ because, you know, they're both metals and they're highly correlated. And I mean, not all the time, not every second, but let me do the numbers real quick. And some of you are already in silver, so keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to put this down over here. Yes, hey Yas, good to see you. Dan says, Steve, nice. Hope you let us know when the new book comes out. Yas says, AGQ is SLV on steroids. That's right, it's double leveraged. All right, let's take a look now. All right, as Steve just mentioned, AGQ is having the 520 crossover. It's happening right here in the value zone, which is good. That's right where I like to take them. I like to take them in the value zone a lot better than I like to take them way up here because from the value zone up here is the easiest movement. Once you start buying stuff up here, the rubber band pulls a little tight. So I do like AGQ here quite a bit. Tesla. Well, Tesla looks like it has, let's see, 390.94, 389.76. So Tesla does backtest well with the 520 crossover, and that is happening today. So that is a possibility. UNH already looks like it rejected the 50 RSI. It's 48.59. It was higher on the day, so I am going to take that one off. XLE is an under 30, over 30. It was under, now it's 31. You know, it's a valid signal. It was a V1 on Friday. I don't like that it's rejected the negative third ATR channel above. That's a little concerning to me, so I'm going to just let that one go. Costco did trigger a V2, but it does have a gap. Yeah, I mean, it came to the value zone, had sideways motion, had a false breakout to the downside, Had a V2, but again, it has this gap which is larger than 1 ATR, so I'm going to let that one go also. Trip. Well, it's a V2. Let's see, the close there is 2143. All right, so that's a potential, and I do like that it rejected the 50-day moving average as well. How much volume? 1.3 million. That's okay. CTRE is Care Trust REIT. Made a lower high, then washed out the previous low. V2, bar 1, 2, 3. Nice washout. Plus a V1 over 50 RSI, so that one definitely qualifies. ICE, no, I don't see really anything on ICE. It seems a little bit chasey to me. IWM, which is the Russell 2000, we're having a nice close back above the 200-day moving average. Coming from a lower low. It's a V2, big gap here, so I'm going to let that one go. Oh, Google. I looked at Google earlier. It looked a lot better, so no, not on Google. XLK. False breakout to the downside, V2, although we have a gap. Notice this big old bar here down. See how we're stuck right at the halfway point of that. So with that, I'm going to let that go. SEDG, V2 with the gap, close above the 50-day moving average. I'm just a little scared of these right now. There was so much volatility. I'd feel much better to buy a higher low V2. So have this come up in the value zone, come back a little bit, then get a higher low V1. So I'm going to let that one go. Oh, the Qs. Whoa. Finally started to trend. Here we were in just a hot, sloppy mess right here, all over the place, but now it's starting to trend. As far as would I take a trade here on Qs, again, I don't like that 2 days ago we had the big down bar. We rejected halfway of that bar. Yes, it is a V2 with the gap. It is above the 50-day moving average. I would feel much better about taking a higher low V1 or V2 or a 520 crossover. IWB is the Russell 1000. Nope. XLRE is real estate. It's a V2, rejection of the 200-day, or close back over the 200-day moving average, but it has a gap, so I'm going to let that one go. NKLA, that's that kind of crazy stock that's been all over the place. Just last week it was $54, and then earlier today it was $28. False breakout to the downside, bullish engulfing V1, just too volatile of a stock for me to buy. Grupo Aeroportuano. I don't care what it is. There's only 86,000 shares traded, so that's not enough. Let's see, do I have more over here? No, that's it. H is Hyatt Hotels. Boy, that's a pretty nice looking V2. No gap, a little bit, but it's right up here at the 1 ATR channel. This is up 7%. I remember earlier it was up 4%, but this is just a little too high for me to buy, so I'm going to have to let that one go. And then IGV. I do like the sideways motion here. It is a V2, but it's only traded 208,000 shares, so not enough shares for me. The liquidity is very important to me. So AGQ was the 520 crossover. This does back test well. I like where it's at. Picked up some volume here, and the day's not over. It's still higher than Friday. I do like AGQ. Tesla. It's above the third ATR channel on the weekly. It's just too high. It does back test well, and this thing may go cruising on up. It really might, but you know, looking at the weekly, we're above the third ATR channel. It's just a little high. Not that it hasn't played up in these areas before, but I think I'm just going to let this one go. Maybe I could get a higher low V1, V2 if it comes back a little bit, but I'm going to let that one go. Trip. Let's take a look at the weekly on Trip here. We're back in the value zone. That's a good sign. It's holding. It's 1 day sideways, so that's a little bit of a good sign. Let me see what the bid-ask spread is on this guy. 1 cent. I can't get better than that. V2 triggers at 21.43. It's 21.42. I would consider that one. CTRE. Over 500,000 shares traded. That's better. Let's take a look at the monthly. That big down bar. We've rallied back in. We're above the 50 on the weekly. We rejected the 50-week moving average, which is pretty good. We came into the value zone. We made a lower high. We washed out that previous low and a V2. Let's see. This one triggers at 1912. All right, those are my 3 potentials on the day. AGQ, good back-tested approach, 520 crossover, 520 EMA crossover. This does have good back-tested results, so this one's definitely a potential. Trip, you know, it's holding above the 50. I do like the weekly in the value zone, but do I like it that much? I'll have to wait and see whether or not it triggers this V2 or not, because we're still under the -1 ATR channel. And CTRE, I would have to say I like CTRE better than Trip. Just for the fact we're already in the value zone. We triggered a nice V2. We're above the 50 RSI. Yeah, I think those are going to be my 2 potentials today. And you know, usually I take 1 trade a day, but these are totally different industries. One's a REIT, one's metals. So right now, these are the two that I'm looking at. Oh, Intel rallied nicely. That's good for the old puts. That's good for Bob. We're to 48.20 on the Qs. Keep that in mind. This blue line up here, I believe, is going to be, well, let's see where the 50 RSI is, because I would not be surprised at all if we get up to that 50 RSI and reject it, because we've come from a lower low. So right, you know, very likely it could hit there tomorrow, maybe even today. All right, we have about 10 minutes. Glenn, hey, how you doing, bud? Glenn says LRCX. LRCX. Oh, Lamb Research. Let's see. Friday we went under the 200, now over the 200. Yeah, it's not bad. It gives you a good risk to reward. It is a V2, although it did have a gap, which means I like it a little bit less, but to the bright side, you now have the 200-day moving average as support underneath you. Kind of to the bearish side, we've already rejected the third ATR channel today, but that's up 4.4%. Very good. Very, very good. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that for Miko. Yeah, look, could be a lot worse trades, I'll tell you. I mean, on the weekly, it's holding the 50. On the daily, it now has a 200-day moving average below. So that's pretty good. Yeah, says, could you look at HP? I think the time to have bought that one was on Friday when we went under 30, over 30 plus the V2. We are above the 5 ATR, the 5 EMA, which is better, which is good. But now I feel like the risk to reward's getting away a little bit. That's my opinion on HP. Kamal says true. How we doing on time? Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Also, I do like that we have this nice V2. We went under 50, over 50. Yeah, that one's not bad at all, Kamal. Brian says, hey, everyone. Hey, Greg. Hey, I bought OSTK at 72, but I feel it's too volatile to keep overnight. Could you look and give me your thoughts? OSTK. Wow. Nice going, Brian. Yeah, look, we still have that 50-day moving average right above us. I mean, great trade. I mean, obviously I don't want to tell you what to do, Brian. I know you're going to do whatever you're going to do, but no, I don't think I would hold that overnight. I don't like the 50-day moving average and the 10 above and being at a 45 RSI. No, me personally, I wouldn't, but you'd let me know what you're going to do. Steve says, I'm long Tesla. Oh, Steve bought Tesla. 415.75 on the 520 crossover. Hey, Sarge, what's going on? Jesse, good to see you. I talked about your post today on your new channel. That's Ranger Trader right there. Good to see you, bud. Steve says, I'm long AGQ 58.95. I'm going to be doing that shortly. Frank says, for me, REITs are a tax headache to trade. Oh, as far as CTRE. And Glenn says, Apple announcement on the 15th September. Tesla battery day on 22nd September. Both could influence the Qs. Well, yeah, the Qs and Tesla, definitely. So this is what I'm going to do, everybody. I am going to buy AGQ with the 520 crossover. I am going to buy CTRE with the false breakout to the downside, the nice V2, the under 50, the over 50. So those are my two today. CTRE and AGQ. And you know, I already have exposure to the rest of the market with the puts that I have, right? With the Apple puts, with the Intel puts. All right, let me just check one more thing here. You know what? I'm changing my mind on CTRE. I'm not going to buy it. I don't like the 1 minute bars where it hardly moves during the day. So I am not going to buy CTRE. So scratch that. I am not buying that. It's just going to be AGQ today. Just AGQ. All right, 5 minutes to go. Okay, go ahead and let's take a look over here like that. I'm tempted on Tesla with the close with over the third ATR channel on the weekly. I think I'm just going to let it go. I think what I'm going to do is if I can get a pullback tomorrow to a close near halfway but still above halfway, I could enter it maybe at a little better risk to reward ratio. But if it doesn't, I hope for anyone that takes Tesla, I know Steve's taking Tesla, the 520 cross is a valid signal, but I think I'm just going to let that one go. All right, I'm going to get busy here and I'm going to buy my AGQ. I guess I stayed out of silver for one day. Okay, that's that. All right, so for the record, everybody, I bought AGQ. That is all that I bought today, and I'm going to be buying the SPY. Steve says, I'm long UGL here at 73.30 on the 520 crossover. Okay, I will get you down for both of those, Steve. One silver, one gold. Can I interest you in a platinum? No platinums? Okay, we'll go with the silver and the gold. Zach is here. Hey, buddy, good to see you, Zach 1662. Nice to have you as always. Zach says, Greg, if you were grabbing AGQ, did you sell out of SLV last week? Yes, I did. I sold out of SLV on Friday. I didn't like that the day before we went down and then we rallied up to halfway and failed. So yes, I got out of SLV on Friday. That's why I'm buying AGQ again today. Had I still been in silver, of course, I would not have bought AGQ because it would have been too correlated. Jesse says, thank you so much, Craig. I am humbled to be mentioned in your show. Sir. I wouldn't know anything if not for your teaching and all that I have learned from so many in the trading community. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that, bud. Jesse is a class act, man. Boy, I mean, he puts his mind to something, he does it. And I'm just honored to have met him and for him to have been a student and proud of him with your new Twitter channel, and I hope that grows for you, and we'll support you any way we can. Zach says, thanks, Greg, wasn't on Friday, so that explains. Didn't think you would be in twice. Nope, would not be in twice. Yeah, I know, three trades for Steve. That's what Steve does. Steve sits back and lurks, doesn't do anything, quiet, and then he pounces. Then he pounces with three. So Tesla, gold, and silver for Steve. I'll get those updated in a minute. Again, I bought AGQ. That's all. And of course, I'll buy the SPY at the close. All right. Oh, there we go. That's the market. Okay, so let's see. Where did I get filled on all of this good stuff? So SPY at 338.46. And where's my AGQ? Here it is. AGQ at 58. 87. All right. So listen, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you have any updates for me on your trades, go ahead, put them in there. We'll get them all taken care of. Just real quick before I do that, just want to put in my daily plug and just remind everybody that I do teach private one-on-one lessons in the evening time via Skype. I have been trading for over 24 years. I have studied with some really great traders and authors and mentors. I've studied with them one-on-one. I feel like it's the best way to learn something. And those 4 traders and authors and mentors and educators were Stephen Burns, Dr. Alexander Elder, Carrie Lavorne, and Larry Williams. And the course I teach, I combine everything I've learned from all of my teachers and mentors, and I put it into a course. The course is 15 hours, 5 sessions, 3 hours apiece. That's where you get the 15. I've had really good success with my clients. It's a pretty intense course, but to really learn something, I think you need to have repetition, and you have to have a teacher that's right there so you can ask a question right away, so that before we move on, I know as your teacher that you know what's happening and you understand what we've taught before we move on to the next step. So the course is $1,000. I think it's worth every penny. I think it's worth a lot more than that, honestly and realistically. But if you're interested in doing the course with me, I know when you're done, you're going to be a better trader. I know you're going to have a skill that you can use the rest of your life, if you apply what I've taught you. And so if you're interested in taking the course with me, I think you'll be glad you did. And the way to start that would be just to email me. The email's in the description of this video. You can also send me a message on Twitter @Gossett Trading. And if you do contact me, I'll just write you back and say, hey, how's it going? Let's set up a Skype call. I'd like to learn more about you, your trading, your goals. And it's a good time on that Skype call for you to ask me questions about the course. The Skype call is free. There's absolutely no sales pressure. I will not even ask you if you want to take the course. I just want to get to know you a little bit better, have you ask me questions, ask you some questions. When I'm done, I'll say, great meeting you. If you're think about it, if you're interested, you know how to contact me, and we can get the lesson set up from there. And then if you like today's podcast, I would certainly appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button. Helps grow the channel, helps keep the channel around. And there's a lot of people out there that could use some help with trading. And I think if we could get them to the channel here, it really could make a positive difference in their trading. And when you're first starting out trading, very important that you learn proper trading principles right at the beginning, not after you've traded 5 or 10 years and you have all these bad habits to break. I mean, it's still good, even if you have been trading a long time, to get with a good teacher to teach you these things. But if you're brand new to trading, never a better time than just to learn the right things the right way and get into the good proper habits from the get-go. Okay, so I bought AGQ at $58.87. I guess I should have waited that few more minutes, right? Is that right? $58.87. And my new overnight SPY trade was at $338.46. And that's all. So not really heavy with positions. I mean, really my only directional trade is AGQ, overnight SPY trade, I guess is technically directional, but overnighter. But the only other positions I have are Intel with about 10% protection to the downside on the puts that I sold, and Apple, which I think I have like 33%. So I'm feeling pretty good about those. Not too loaded up. I still think the market's volatile, and that's why I'm being a little cautious here. All right, now let's get back up to Steve here. So Steve, nice buy, Brian, on OSTK. Okay, so Tesla, TSLA at 415. Oh, good one, Steve. 415.75. already in the money. Very nice. Steve Burns. Okay. AGQ, Steve is also long. All right, I'm not going to put it in the price, Steve, just because we're both in it. Steve Burns. You know what I mean? If I put all different prices on there, it's going to be confusing who bought who. We know we kind of just bought there at the end of the day. Frank says, for me, REITs are a tax headache, right? Glenn says Apple. Okay, we talked about that. UGL. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So he based that upon the crossover on GLD. So this didn't cross over, but that's not what he based his trade on. He based the UGL entry based upon what GLD was doing. So 74.30. All right. Let me make sure. We have a Steve here on silver. We have a Steve here on Tesla, and we have a Steve. Oh, I didn't put. Steve Burns. There we go, bud. We've got them all taken care of. Okay. And Gary's here. Hey, good to see you, Gary. I saw that your Alibaba's still doing well, so that's good. And, okay, Kamal has true. You know, I've had such a good run on my day trading. I mean, phenomenal, really, if I can say so myself, that today seems a little kind of a bummer. I mean, I didn't do poorly at all, really. I mean, yes, I had a couple small losses and the other ones were break evens, but, you know, compared to this run I've had, but who knows, you know, runs come and they go, but all you can do is follow your trades, and I feel good about myself that I followed exactly what I was supposed to. So, all right, got you there. Kamal on true. Gary on AGQ. Gary M. Frank says, just holding on to Apple and IAU and keeping cash close to the vest. That sounds like a good idea. Frank, I'm kind of the same way. So I've got Apple. All right. Frank's long Apple from 113. All right. Up almost 3% today. Very nice. Dan says, I think a bunch of witches come Friday. Oh, is it triple witching? Brian says, out of OSTK. I'm kind of glad to hear that, Brian, because you know, when I look at a chart, I get a feeling from it even before I think about it. You know, it's just from all the time, hundreds of millions of charts that I've looked at over 24 years, right? But I just get a feeling when I look at it, and then after I get the feeling, I kind of analyze the chart, and then I realize how I got the feeling. But, you know, that 10 days right above us, the 50 days right above us, which is a little concerning. Let's see, where did you buy that? I know you set up here somewhere. 72, yeah, you bought it at 72.93, and now it's 75.60, so you had a really nice trade on it, but there's some pretty serious resistance there. Doesn't mean it can't go up, but you've got the 10, you've got the 50, we're getting close to the 50 RSI also, and you had a nice trade, and you know that's a wild one. That's a wild stock. I mean, the average move during the day, the 2 ATR is 24.88, so the average move is $12.44 every day. I mean, it moves an average of like 14 to 17% a day. It's wild. All right, let's see what's happening after hours. Apple's up a little bit. That's good for the old puts. AGQ's up a penny. That's good for us that have AGQ. Intel's up a little. That's good for the puts. Qs are up. That's good for people that have Qs, obviously. SPY's up 27 cents. That's good. And Tesla's up $2.44. That's good for Steve. All right. Hey, just real quick. I saw this and I wanted to share it with everybody. The best way to predict the future is to create it, by Peter Drucker. Isn't that good? The best way to predict the future is to create it. And, you know, if you want to predict the future on you becoming a good, successful, profitable trader, then you have to create that. So the best way to predict the future of being a good trader is to create it. And how do you create it? It goes back to what I talked about on Jesse's, those 10 rules on Jesse's post. But, kind of as a nutshell, have a plan, position size correctly, adjust for volatility, get out of your losses quickly, have the courage to let your winners run, only take trades that you're supposed to trade, right? I promise you, the more you know about trading, the more you'll realize that it's not as hard as you think. The hard part is the battle that goes on between your head. So the best way to predict the future is to create it, and create it by creating a plan, position sizing, adjusting for volatility, cutting your losses short. That's how you can predict the future for you to be a good trader, if you follow that. And if you don't, you're probably not going to be able to predict the future. Well, actually, you are going to be able to predict the future, but it's not the future you're going to want. It's really what it comes down to, everybody. It really, really is. All right. So I got Steve's trades. I got Kamal's trades. I got Gary's trade. Brian is out of OSTK. Steve says, thanks for calling out Tesla. It did not have one when I looked 20 minutes ago. I had that signal down as well as a good back test. Yeah, well, I saw that earlier in the day, but it hadn't back tested as well either. So you're welcome, Steve. I hope that works out for you. And thank you for pointing out AGQ, because I had not looked at AGQ either. So we both shared a trade idea. Hopefully they'll work out for both of us and all of us. Glenn says, markets have a tendency to rise into Fed meetings. Fed meeting is Wednesday. Yeah, that's the last Fed meeting before the election. So that seems like that's probably a pretty big one. All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions, this is the time to ask me. If you have any jokes, this is the time to post them. It's a beautiful day out here. Gonna go out, put on my hiking boots, go for a little hike. And I'm not teaching tonight, which is strange. On nights that I don't teach, I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? So real quick, again, if you're interested in lessons, contact me. We'll get them all lined up. I had so many students over the last little bit, and so now we're kind of done with lessons. So this is a good time for me to take on new students if you're so inclined. All right. Well, listen, everybody, let me just leave you with the usual. Please go out and try to do something nice for somebody today. Just a smile or a wave or a hello. That would be fantastic if you could do that for a human and also an animal today and every day going forward in the future. It would make the world a lot better place for humans and animals if we could just all do one nice thing for each other every day. Could you imagine? It'd be a whole different place, and maybe we could just start it right here and right now, like a wave, right? And what else? I guess that's about it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Be safe, be good. Study up on your charts. Think about your trading. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve? Be honest with yourself. And then whatever you decide, implement it, stick to it, right? Dan says, thank you, Greg. Everybody smash the like button. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Zach says, thank you, Greg. You are welcome, Zach. Frank says, September, October, hopefully will be calmer because of the election. Yeah, that's a tough one there, right? We don't know. It could be worse, could be better. I'm not sure. But it would be nice if it was calmer for sure. So, all right. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming. Hopefully see you tomorrow during the last hour. Take care now. Bye-bye. U.S. government required disclaimer. Stock, options, futures, and forex trading is not appropriate for everyone. While there is a potential for large rewards, there is also a substantial risk of loss associated with trading. The material in this video or live broadcast is not geared towards any particular individual or to any particular financial situation and is not intended to meet the particular investment objectives of any viewer. This video or live broadcast, like all instructional materials produced by Gossett Trading and Mentoring LLC, is created and published for informational and educational purposes only. Any and all information contained in, implied, or referenced by this video or live broadcast is not to be construed as investment advice, and no representation is made that any individual or entity involved in production of this video or live broadcast is an investment or financial advisor or is registered or authorized to give any financial advice. We are publishers and educators only. Therefore, the various producers of this video or live broadcast will not accept liability for any loss or damage of any kind which may arise either directly or indirectly out of the use of any of this material, including any loss of profit. No representation is made that any account or investment will or is likely to achieve the profit or losses demonstrated. We recommend consultation with a licensed and qualified professional before making any investment decision. This video or live broadcast is not to be construed as an offer to buy or sell any security, financial instrument, or financial product of any kind. Notice is hereby given that any individual or entity involved in production of this video or live broadcast or their clients may have an interest in any security, financial instrument, or financial product mentioned or referenced. Any simulated or hypothetical performance result depicted does not represent actual trading and therefore may under or overcompensate for the impact of various market factors such as lack of liquidity.